Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Solid Express Route. And this webinar is going to be based on Solid 2022 version. In this webinar, we'll take a look at all the key updates that were introduced in the latest version of the Express Route, and then we'll take a look at how we can utilize the sketch commands to create the path for your tube or your pipe, say. And then we'll take a look at how we can use the automatic path generation using the routing path command. And then finally, we'll end this presentation by taking a look at the tube design. So the key update here, as you can see from the screenshot here, which states that the segment group that was previously there in the older versions of Solid Edge has now been replaced with the draw group. So all the previous commands like the line segment, the move segment, the curve segment, the route command, and so on are now removed, and all these removed commands are now replaced with the 3D line, the 3D curve, and the 3D rectangle, and so on. You definitely can bring all these commands back, the commands that were removed like move segment and line segment and so on. So all these commands can be brought back from the customization menu. So we'll just take a look at that here in a short demonstration. So now that you're inside the assembly environment, let's hop into the XpresRoute application. And as you can see, each time I open the XpresRoute, this window shows up. So as you can see, the segment group is now replaced with this specific group with all the new commands like the routing path, the line, the rectangle, and so on. Now, in order to bring the previous commands back, you'll have to go to the customize menu here. So from the drop down, you can go to the customize menu. And this window should show up. So the process here to bring a new the process here to bring all the previous commands back is that first you create a new theme. So let's give it a name, say XpresRoute missing commands. And once your new theme is selected, you can select the environment, which in this case is going to be the XpresRoute. Then from the choose commands from tab or the drop down, you can select the commands that are not in the ribbon. And now all you have to do is just scroll to the specific command that you're looking for. So in this case, let's say I'm looking for the line segment command. So first, let's create a new tab. So I'll say, let's rename this tab to say missing commands. And now inside this tab, all I have to do is select the specific command that I want to add and just hit add here. So all these commands are now being added. So let's say I want to add the line segment command, and let's do a few more like the move command. So let's take a look at that as well. So here is the move segment command. So all you have to do is just select the specific command and hit add. And then one more command is going to be the route command. So you select that and hit add. So once you've added all these commands here, you can simply save it all and close this existing command ribbon. So now you are popped into the new theme that you just made. From here, you can select the specific theme. So all these are the existing default themes that comes with Solid Edge, and this is going to be the new theme that you just made. So now if I go to the missing commands here, you can see I have access to all the previous commands like the line segment, the move segment, and the route command. So this is how you can use the customization menu to bring all the previous commands back into Solid Edge. So now let's take a look at how you can utilize the 3D sketch command in order to create a path inside XpresRoute. So whenever you're working with the 3D sketch environment, you'll see this XYZ coordinate system that shows up. So what exactly is that? So this specifically is inside Solid Edge is called as the Orient Express tool. So the necessity of this tool is that, say for example, if you want to lock your path into a specific axis, let's say x axis or y axis or z axis. So in order to achieve that, you can select the specific axis on this Orient Express tool, and then it locks that path in that specific axis. So there are two ways in which you can lock that axis. You can either select that specific axis with your mouse, or you can simply hit Z on the keyboard, which is basically going to lock the axis. Something similar can be done in order to lock a plane. So in order to lock a plane, you simply have to hit X on the keyboard, or again you can simply select the specific plane with your mouse, and that is going to help you to lock that plane or say axis. So let's take a look at the live demonstration here. So now that we are inside XpresRoute, let's dive into the sketching options here. So let's go into the 3D sketching commands. And as soon as I go into the 3D sketching commands, you'll see you have a bunch of options like the way you have in the 2D sketching environment, like you can say create a plane, then you can create sketches, then you can apply the relationships and so on. So it's pretty similar to what you had or what you have in the 2D sketching environment. So let's say I want to create or start with a line. So I'll select the line first. And one thing that you'll notice is that as soon as I select the line command, you'll see that my Orient Express tool shows up. Not only that, I have the option to decide the specific location where I want to place this tool. So I'll just place it like at this location here, and then I'll start. And then I'm going to start to create a line. So let's say I'll use this as my start point, and then as you can see that my line is free to move into the space here. And in order to lock this line into a specific axis, all I have to do is simply come and select that specific axis. So let's say I want to lock this into the X axis, so I'll just select X on this Orient Express tool, then it gets locked into that specific axis, and then simply now I can place the line, and this is going to be my second point. So this is how I can simply create a straight line or use the Orient Express tool to lock into a specific axis. So that was one way. The other way to lock into the axis is by hitting Z on the keyboard. So let's hit Z on the keyboard, and right now it's locked into the Y axis. You'll see that the Y axis gets highlighted only, which indicates that your line is locked into the Y axis. So now I can place this line at a specific location, say like this. Now again I would like to lock this into the XY plane. So in order to lock into the XY plane, like we saw in the presentation slides, you have to hit X on the keyboard. So once you hit X on the keyboard, you'll see that the plane that is locked gets highlighted in green, which means in this case my XY plane is highlighted, which means it's locked into the XY plane. And now I can place this line at a specific location. So let's say I want to place it at this point right here, and you'll see that I have a line. My third line basically is going to be in the XY plane. And now let's say uh, I want to lock my last line that I would create in the y-axis. So let's select y-axis here, and then I would like to use the reference point, I mean the midpoint on this specific line as my reference point to decide the length of the line. So I have the option to do that as well. So I can simply select the midpoint here, and you'll see that the line gets highlighted there, and I can select the midpoint. So as soon as I select the midpoint here, the length of that line gets extended to that specific midpoint, and that becomes the reference point. So this is how you can utilize the sketching options here. Not only that, you have the option to place the dimensions. So once you're done with the sketching, just like you do in the 2D environment, you can simply come to the smart dimensions here, select the line where you want to place the dimensions, and simply enter the value. And just like that, the values are placed. Again, same thing. We can do that here as well. So we'll just do the value 55 here again. So it's as easy as that. You can create a 3D sketch inside XpresRoute. So this was the way that you can create a sketch from scratch. So let's say, for example, you have an existing assembly on which you want to generate a path. So in order to do that, we'll just take a look at that as well. So let's go to the XpresRoute application again. Same info should show up again there, and you can simply start by creating a line. So let's say I'm going to start by creating a line here. As you can see, if I scroll and zoom in here, you'll see that once I place my cursor on this specific plane, you'll see that the center point gets highlighted. So the software understands the key point. So I can simply start my line from there. And in this case, let's say I would lock into the z-axis again. So let's lock into z-axis again. Now in this time, I'm going to lock into the x-axis. And when I'm locking into the x-axis, I want to use this as my reference point. So let's select that. So it gets extended over that length. And now again, I'll just create a new line here again and use the end point of my second line as start point of my third line as a reference point, and then lock into the z-axis again. I'll just extend it to a random length. Say, for example, in this case, I'll just extend it up to here. Now again, in this case, as you can see, I cannot see my Orient Express tool here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it back here. As you can see, I brought the tool back so that I can see actually. Now I'll use the endpoint of this line in order to lock into, let's say, y-axis here. And I want to use this as my reference point. And finally, I'll just use z-axis here again to lock up to that point. So that easily I can create a path between 2 points without any problem. So it's pretty easy as compared to what the previous versions did using the line segments. And then I can simply place a smart dimension, just select the line and place the value. So in this case, let's do 85, and then you can simply place the dimensions based upon the choice. So this is how you can generate a path over an existing assembly inside XpresRoute. Now let's take a look at how the automatic path generation can be done using the routing path command that we have inside the XpresRoute. So you can use a routing path command inside XpresRoute in order to create the path automatically rather than manually drawing it using the sketching commands that we just saw. So in order to use the command, the workflow is you select the 2 points. So these points can either are going to be orthogonal to the default reference plane that you select, and then these points must be circular or elliptical elements, the endpoints of a segment, or even the endpoints of a sketch element. So all you have to do is just select the two endpoints, and the software is going to generate a line, uh, or you can say generate a path in between those 2 points, like you can see from the image here. So we'll just take a look at that here in our demonstration. So again, we'll use the same assembly here, and this time let's go into the sketching environment. And inside sketching environment, we have the option here for the routing path. So like I said, the workflow is you first select the start point. So this is going to be my start point, and then say this is going to be my endpoint here. So you see, as soon as I select my endpoint, the software generates that one line, or you can say a path between those 2 points. And not only that, the software also gives you a couple of options here. So if you hit this blue arrow, which is says to be the which says show me the next path of choice. So you can just hit that. So you can see now, you can see the path has been changed to this one, or maybe even this one. So in this case we have three different options. So you can choose the path of your choice. So the port segment is going to be the distance between the endpoint and the final line. So let's say if you want to bump it up from 20 to 30, you can do that as well. You'll see that the line moves up. And once you have the line of your choice, let's take this one right here. You can just hit the green check box, which is going to confirm the location. Again, like we saw previously, once a path is generated, you can simply select to place a dimension. So in this case, let's say increase the length from 65 to 85. You'll see that the line moves up, and now this is the new dimension here. And so on, you can start placing the dimensions based upon your choice. So this is how we can utilize the routing path command inside Solid Edge to quickly and easily generate a path without manually having to do using the sketches here. So now let's take a look at the tube design. Now once you have created a path, which may be either using the sketching commands that we saw, or either using the routing path. So once your tube is ready, or you can say your path for the tube is ready, the next step would be to create a tube. So inside Solid Edge, the workflow is pretty straightforward. You select the specific path that you want, and then you can place a tube exactly on that path. Something else that you have control over is that you can select a specific segment of the chain to place a tube, and then you can decide the end conditions of that tube, how you want that tube to be on both the ends. So inside the tube options, you have a couple of controls on the tube, like selecting the material for the tube, deciding the outer diameter, the bend radius, the wall thickness, whether you want your tube to be solid or maybe hollow. So that depends upon the wall thickness, and many more options. So now we'll just take a look at the live demonstration here, and we'll see how the tube command actually works. So again, I'm going to use the same assembly and generate a tube on one of the two sketches here. So as I said, once you go and select the tube, you have the option to decide the template of that specific tube part file which will be generated. You can give it a name, say tube, uh, let's say a copper tube, and from the drop down you can select the specific material, and if the material does not exist in this drop down, you can go to the material table and select the specific material that you want. So in this case, I'm going to select the copper material here, hit OK, and then decide all the conditions here. So let's say I want a wall thickness of say 0.5 mm. And once you're done with all the necessary changes that you want to make, you can do that and select uh, the tube. So in this case, I'm going to I'll just select each one of them individually here, and once I'm done with that, you can do a preview which will show how your tube is going to look like in this case. So if you're satisfied with the results, you can just hit the green check box, which will confirm the tube, uh, and there you go. This is how your tube can be placed with few easy steps inside Solid Edge Express route. Something else that you have control over is that you have the control. Sorry, you have the control to decide the end conditions of this tube. So in this case, I'll go back and do the edit definition, and here is the option to control the end conditions for this tube. So if you go to the end conditions options, from the drop down you have a couple of options here. You can have an expanded or you can have an flanged. So depending upon the type, you can say you can select what type of end condition you want for this specific tube, and if you do a preview, you'll see that the end condition has been placed here. So it's as easy as that inside Solid Edge Express route to manipulate a tube or to create a tube and so on. So now let's take a look at the piping route option. So just next to the tube command, we have the piping route option. So here I have already generated a sketch that we just saw, and now we'll go into the piping route option. So once you go into this command, you'll see a window shows up where you can select the pipes and fittings. You have the option to select whether the fittings will be placed manually or you can do that automatically. Uh, and then you can select the specific pipes that you're looking for. So you have options here. You can select the pipes from the standard parts library, or you can simply browse to a specific folder where you have generated your custom pipes, or in this case even fittings. So for now I'll be just using the default pipes whatever I have here, and once I do that, okay, I can select the sketch, and once I select the sketch, you'll see that the fitting has been placed automatically because I had set that in options to be placed automatically. And then once I do the preview, you'll see that the pipes are placed as well. So it's as easy as that inside Solid Edge. If you have your pipes and fittings ready, you can place them inside Solid Edge with this piping route option. Not only that, let's say now if you further decide to extend the length of this pipe, you can simply go to the sketch command here, and then with the help of this dimension that you have placed, you can increase this to, let's say, 45. And if I close the sketch, you'll see that the pipe gets updated with the sketch here. Not only that, if I decide to add an extra pipe here, so let's say go back to the sketch command here and add a line. In this case, let's lock the x-axis and use this as my reference point to decide the length. Similarly, we'll do again lock into the x-axis and use this as my reference point. Now what I can do is I can simply go back to the piping route option, go to the edit definition, and here we can go back to the select path step and select the new sketch that we just made. Once you hit the green check box, you'll see that the fitting has been placed, and if you do preview, the pipe gets placed as well. So once you're satisfied with the results that you are seeing on the screen, you can hit finish, and that's how you can use a piping route command. You have the option to edit the sketch. The pipe and the fittings get updated. The pipe and the fittings get updated automatically with respect to your sketch. And that's going to be the end of this webinar, and I thank you for attending the webinar today, and I'm open to any questions that you might have.